All right, so just want to let you know that this video recording will actually be seen by my professor and also by some of my, well, by my classmates. I am not a professional, I'm just a student. I am a student in mental health counseling, and this is just basically for me to get experience on positive interviewing and so forth. So I appreciate you signing the consent form and everything. So we'll go ahead and get started at
Okay.
this point in time. All right, but be mindful I can't give any type of um, information. I'm sorry, any type of advice on a professional level.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start. All right. So,
Okay.
all right. So, what brings you in to see me today?
I'm having some trouble with my children and their
And
behavior.
what are your children's ages?
I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Okay. And when you say with their behaviors,
I have a 7-year-old who is on the autism spectrum, high functioning, that got diagnosed last year, and a 3-year-old who is not on the spectrum, is, I guess, has a typical brain, as they say. And my 7-year-old has lots of behaviors, negative behaviors. When he gets upset, he lashes out and
mm-hmm.
says things, mean things to me and his dad and his sibling. He's made statements about wanting to be dead,
Mm-hmm.
um, and not being here. And we have been trying to curb those behaviors, and he's on the waiting list for services through Teach. And actually, he just got accepted into one of the groups that starts at the end of this month. But um, basically, the biggest issue now is the 3-year-old is mimicking his behaviors. So now the 3-year-old, when it's something simple like get undressed, is I don't want to, I can't, it's too hard, or I don't I don't like you. I don't, everything he sees his big brother do, he is repeating.
Okay.
So, and then he said to me yesterday when he was upset about something, I want to kill myself.
Oh, okay. So you said that your 7-year-old is getting services. How long have your 7-year-old been diagnosed with um, the autism?
About a year and 2 months. He was diagnosed November 2015. And we were trying to get services from November. Shortly after he got diagnosed, I went to Teach, and we were put on the waiting list for services. We did do some individual sessions with the therapist that diagnosed him, trying to work on his um, basically the meltdowns, which is generally when he says all of these things, is always when something is not going the way he wants it to go, is when he starts lashing out. So
Mm-hmm.
homework time in particular is very difficult. So we were trying to work on the tantruming around homework. Um, However, it improved somewhat, and she gave us some skills to use and some different techniques.
Mm-hmm.
He's still really not a big fan of homework, specifically writing. That's where
Okay.
he has his meltdowns. We reached out to the school to get help right after maybe April of last year, um, after he was diagnosed, and we requested an IEP. They sat down with us, but basically said he did not qualify for services based on his diagnosis because he was high functioning and was not having any issues academically, though he was having social, behavioral outbursts in kindergarten when things weren't going his way. So we've been trying to follow up with the school. We actually are supposed to be getting services through the school now through MTSS for the behavior management. Um, we need to have another meeting, but they finally said, I think maybe because of the interventions that the teachers had put in place last year, and then this year specifically, his first grade teacher's been really good, that they would maybe see. I think we were going to try to move forward to see if he could get a 504 plan in place, because he needs accommodations um, for um, he's going to need accommodations probably when it comes to writing, when he has to take his class test for reading. He's not going to want to do the written part, the comprehension part, and that will prevent him from moving up in his reading level if he can't complete that. So they're looking to make accommodations for him and maybe let him do something where he can dictate instead of having to write. But I mean, he still needs to be able to do his writing assignments in life. So
so it seems as though you got a lot going on with the 7-year-old. Now you have a 3-year-old who wants to mimic behaviors that he's seeing. So how does that make you feel when a 3-year-old starts mimicking these behaviors?
Upset. He's 3. He just turned 3, and I tried to explain that he cannot copy his brother. Like, he is his own person, and he doesn't have to do everything his big brother does. He doesn't get that, and I think when I say copying, he starts coughing, fake coughing, because he thinks I'm saying coughing. So he's not understanding the word. So I guess we're gonna have to try to find another way to try to explain what that means, mimicking what it means. Even though I have been, when he says things now, I tell him, you don't say that, you don't do it just because your brother does it. That's not the right thing to do. You need to, I try to redirect. But that is the bulk of our issue, because we have one child who has these behaviors, who can't necessarily control those behaviors, and we're trying to work on curbing it. And then we have this what they call neurotypical child, who can probably understand. He's seeing this is what's being modeled, so it's probably confusing for him to understand he shouldn't be doing these things. But there's no issue, as far as we know, with his brain where he wouldn't be able to get that. So that's where we're struggling right now.
I keep hearing you say we. When you're saying we, who are you?
His father.
His father.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and the children's father are basically trying to be supports for each other, or?
Yes, and we've sought outside supports, through therapy, so that we can, for the oldest, so that we can obtain skills to work with him on this behavior, because he has his whole life ahead of him, and he needs to get this stuff under control as much as he can now. The other big issue is that my oldest does not know he's on the spectrum. We have not had that conversation with him. I didn't want him to feel any kind of way, because he is a anxious child as well. He's having lots of anxiety, so I don't want for him to hear this and think there's something wrong with him, and he gets fixated on things, which is, I think, part of the spectrum stuff. So he doesn't know, which I don't really know. We went to an interview for this group, and he met with, we went to the research component for the group, and they talked to him. And the only thing I really ever say to him is sometimes his brain works differently. So this group will help him with that. And he asked questions, and they kind of told him it was a group for kids who, learn differently, and they explained it without outing him, basically. So, and apparently they said that a lot of kids in the group don't necessarily know, so they'll just kind of work on how his behavior affects other people. So that's the biggest thing for us, is I think that maybe he doesn't understand his actions will affect other people. It's kind of, he just sees it as it's all about him. So I think with the group, I'm hoping with the group, he's going to learn that what he does has, causes a reaction in other people, and that through that he won't be as rigid in his thinking, and that will help with his social skills. And I'm really hoping that overall, once his social skills are better and he gets that his behavior affects other people in negative or positive ways, we will be able to kind of rein in some of those other behaviors, because it's his reaction to when we're telling him to do something, that usually sparks the tantrum. So I'm praying. that it
Okay.
will that will help.
Okay, okay. Well, it seems as though you have a good support system. You got some things in place for him in regards to the 7 year old. But right now, the 3 year old is now overwhelming you
Yes, just with the mimicking of
with the
behaviors. And
mimic.
then he's 3, so he's feeling himself a little bit and coming into his own. So there's a little bit of, not listening at school and stuff like that, which is normal for this age. But I just, and he doesn't react that way too much at daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's been not listening lately, but I was told by the teachers kind of all of them are kind of doing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But just, and they haven't heard like some of the language that he's used at home, like, I don't like you and I don't want you, or I don't whatever, or I whatever want to, it's too hard, just
Okay.
simple, putting on my shoes is too hard, taking off your PJs is too hard, and he has no idea, it's just what he's hearing, so he's like not even attempting to do these things. And the issue is actually that he could do all of those things and was doing it before, and now he's just buying into what he's seeing and
Right.
hearing from his brother.
Okay, so you have a 7 year old and a 3 year old. A 7 year old has special needs. 3 year old is basically becoming themselves. So it's overwhelming. What do you do to keep yourself grounded? Yes, I understand you have the supports and you working with you and the father are both. What do you do to keep yourself grounded to be able to continue to help your children?
Not enough.
And when you say not enough, what do you mean?
I don't really practice too much self-care. I recently did, over this past weekend, went and got a pedicure with my friend, got my hair done, but normally I am home with my children. I don't do a whole lot of extracurricular stuff, so that is something that I know I need to work on, because it's overwhelming and it's stressful. I also have a stressful job that don't have a lot of time for myself.
Okay. So do you think self-care is beneficial for you?
Well, I'm sure it is. I know that's something that I struggled with, that I've always kind of struggled with since being a parent. So it is important, and I know it would probably keep my stress down. But
So since you became a parent, what was the self-care you were doing before you became a parent?
whatever I wanted, because I had no children, so I could go and come as I please. I didn't do much then either, but I didn't have that responsibility on me now, caring for myself and others. And like I said, with the special needs child, and then just the 3-year-old coming into his own and following his brother's behavior, that has been stressful. That's really just it. So.
And I heard you say you have a stressful job. Even with a stressful job, did you even practice self-care then?
God, how long was that before? So I think I was at that job about 3 years before I had my first. I don't remember. I don't really remember what I was doing before I had my kids. I mean, I went out.
Okay.
Occasionally, I hung out with friends,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a homebody, so, but there was, just talking to my friends was enough
Mm-hmm.
to kind of blow off steam.
So what do you think you could do now for self-care? With the kids, you seem like you're getting the kids under control, but you're, like you said, you're here because you're stressed, overwhelmed with that. But you brought up the fact that you needed the self-care. So tell me, what ideas do you think you could have for self-care?
Just doing more things for myself. So be it like this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
going to get my hair done, leaving the house for a little while, going to a movie with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Just little things I think will probably be helpful. But then I have lots of mom guilt, so I feel like I'm abandoning the kids with dad, because I get to the point where I just say, I can't right now, and I need to walk away. And that's not fair to him.
Okay.
But he does encourage me go out and, you know, try to do things for myself. But I just, like I said, I'm a homebody, so I don't. But I have a lot of the guilt, you know. So, yeah. So getting up and going, like, back home to visit friends, you know, the thought is really nice, but I don't do it because I feel bad about leaving the kids for, you know, a certain amount of time. I think I just left my youngest for the first time last May for a 2-day training for work that was like an hour and a half away. And, you know, so separating myself from my children is also something I need to work on.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like to me that you have some ideas. It's just putting them into action.
Correct.
Okay. So is there any attempts for you to move forward with putting them into action?
I probably need to try to pick a day out of the week that I leave the house and go do something by myself or with a friend. So my spouse used to play basketball once a week, you know.
Okay.
And that kind of helped him. Granted, he hasn't done that in forever either now with the kids and everything. So, but that seemed to help him. So maybe if I did something, and it's as easy as going to Target and just walking around for me.
Okay.
I would go to grab something and I could be there for hours, and he'll call and say, "Really, you're still at Target?" Yeah, you know, because it's just I'm away and I'm just, you know, can walk the aisles and look at whatever, and that's helpful.
Okay.
So
Okay. So
small things.
you're gonna start with small things 1st. Okay. Well, it sounds like that's the plan for now. But are you gonna eventually move her to bigger things, you think?
So I need to probably make more time to be out with my friends here and back at home. Part of the issue with that is having their dad can watch them, you know, while I go away for a weekend or something like that. But I feel bad.
Okay.
But I need to probably start doing that.
Okay.
So.
Well, it sounds as though you have a plan and that you know what you want to do and what would be best interest for you, because the self-care will help you in return take care of your kids and be there more efficiently for them, but also to help you as well. So I'm glad that you came in today. Do you feel better about thinking up with a plan or coming out speaking about it?
Yeah. I mean, I know, and that's always been an issue. I know what I need to do, but just kind of executing it is where I fall short.
Well, it sounds as though you want to go ahead and start executing it, so especially when you're saying that you have a smaller plan to move forward to get to a bigger plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in today and taking time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.